I'm Mark Mullins with your headlines in Austin. A case against an Austin police officer is set to be dismissed. The Travis County DA's office plans to enter into a special agreement to drop murder and deadly conduct charges against Carl Crecia. He and former officer Christopher Taylor were charged in the shooting of Morris De Silva in downtown Austin in 2019. De Silva had a knife and was going through a mental health crisis. Taylor was convicted and sentenced to prison, but is appealing that decision. Under this tentative agreement, Crecia will have to teach a special course on how officers should deal with rapidly changing situations like those involving people suffering mental health episodes. APD said it won't comment on this development until the agreement is finalized. Meantime, prosecutors have rested their case in the deadly conduct trial of Austin police officer Daniel Sanchez. Sanchez was charged in connection with the on-duty shooting death of Raj Munasinga in November of 2022. Prosecutors and defense attorneys are arguing whether Munasinga posed a threat to officers and others, and if Sanchez was justified in shooting him. The defense is set to call witnesses starting on Wednesday. Deadly and destructive wildfires that ravaged Southern California in January placed a new emphasis on the risks here in the Austin area, which experts say shares a similar wildfire threat. The KVUE Defenders investigate a specific aspect of that risk that is also the subject of renewed focus among emergency preparedness leaders, fire officials, and some residents. And that is Austin area neighborhoods with only one way out. Here's Tony Plahetsky.
Mark and Quita, recent studies show Texas ranks third nationally for the number of homes at moderate to high risk of wildfire damage. And among U.S. cities, the Austin area ranks fifth for the number of homes at risk and in reconstruction value. The KVUE Defenders wanted to examine not just overall preparedness, but focus on areas where the ability to get residents out and emergency responders in could bring unique challenges.
But the bottom line is if embers come into this area, this is not at risk of the home being ignited.
Jeff Shapiro has spent the past few years thinking about
no way for a fire to climb up into the eaves
and preparing his home along scenic Lake Austin for a wildfire.
The main structure here is actually pretty fire-wise.
As a fire expert himself, he understands the trade-off of natural beauty and risk.
I think there is a lot of personal responsibility on people who live in an area like Austin to recognize that there is a risk of wildfire and to do what you can to reduce that risk to you and your property.
Shapiro lives in an area known as West Austin Hills. It is among the region's highest wildfire threat areas. His neighborhood also comes with an added risk. It only has one way out for residents to escape by car, a danger that Shapiro has already considered.
This kayak can go in the water if we have no other way to get out. Otherwise, we have the boat. Most people in Austin don't have this option, but it's our plan.
City officials have identified 339 residential areas in Austin and Travis County with limited access for first responders and evacuation routes. Many have only one way in and one way out to a main road. That translates to about 53,000 homes and structures, with an estimated 82,000 residents in the highest wildfire risk zones. Those areas include many neighborhoods in the West Austin Hills, several of them off FM 2222, many neighborhoods along FM 2244 or B Caves Road, and dozens of neighborhoods surrounding Lake Travis, all areas with some of the highest property values in Travis County. The ability to evacuate residents in a wildfire, particularly those with limited evacuation routes, has proven difficult and deadly in other regions. In the Los Angeles area wildfires earlier this year, and in a historic 2023 wildfire in Maui, some victims were found dead in their cars trying to evacuate. And in 2011, during a fire that ravaged the Steiner Ranch neighborhood, residents sat in traffic for hours as 23 homes and 160 acres burned.
If their way out is blocked, then yeah, we're going to go to that refuge of last resort, essentially, and hunker down.
Jim Reddick is Austin's emergency management director. He says he and other city, county, and regional leaders have been working more closely in recent months to identify neighborhoods with limited access, and they hope in coming weeks to partner with residents to develop neighborhood-specific plans. He says plans could include educating residents on the need to potentially evacuate early and to gather at places that could be protected from fire.
We're creating these documents with the community, not for them, but with their input. And with that, they're engaged in the process, and the outreach that we're going to have after that, it's just going to be a campaign of just readiness issues.
But some neighborhoods and other organizations are not waiting on local governments to help them prepare.
It's definitely a concern, wildfire in Travis County and Austin. It's a serious issue.
Fred Richardson, president of Firewise, a coalition of neighborhood associations, said many residents are now taking their own steps to help their homes possibly withstand a wildfire.
We want people to think about taking action on their own, doing what they can to create more safe zones in their neighborhoods.
That means, for example, learning about ways individual homeowners can prepare their homes, such as removing tree overhangs and even combustible front door welcome mats, just as Shapiro has done.
It's removing combustibles from around the perimeter, keeping leaves out of gutters, covering up openings to attics and under decks with tight mesh screens to keep embers out. I want to make sure that I do everything I can to protect my home.
Preparation for a wildfire that he hopes never happens, but will be ready if or when his home is in its path. Last month was the hottest and driest October in Austin history, which experts say fuels concerns about wildfires. Officials also say that this year's risk is exacerbated by a rainy July, resulting in growth of vegetation, which is now dried out, creating fuel for wildfires. We'll have more information on how to check your home's wildfire risk and to protect yourself, and how you can help your community become firewise with this story on KVUE.com. For the KVUE Defenders, Tony Plahetsky, KVUE News.
A popular Austin blues venue is staying put for at least another 50 years. Antone's nightclub announced it secured a 50-year lease extension at its home on East 5th Street. The club also got a $1.3 million investment to create a blues museum on the venue's second floor, opening in 2027. Antone celebrates its 100th anniversary in the year 2075. Those are the headlines in Austin. I'm Mark Mullins.